Now, when things don't make sense, sometimes it's best to take a step back and re-examine things. So what caused 21-year-old Caleb Harris, who was described as a homebody, who would help anyone, vanish without a trace? It's odd when you factor in he just signed a lease for one more year, and his keys and his wallet would be found inside his apartment. Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And if an open conversation is something you prefer, then this is the place for you. Welcome to The Point, so let's talk about it.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Now here's what I was able to find, and if there's been anything new, you can fill in those gaps down in the comments below. But according to the timeline, the first possible suspects would be the roommates, because they were technically the last to see him alive. Now at 11 a.m. one of the roommates would find his DoorDash order, and they would do a quick search and not find him, but they would contact CCPD fairly quickly, which seems to be the complete opposite of the Riley Strange story. And if you like what I'm doing on this channel, hit that like button and leave a comment down below, because law enforcement would interview the roommates and search the apartment. They would go on to say that they found no evidence of foul play within that apartment building. And when you consider that they contacted law enforcement pretty quickly, there was no evidence of foul play in the apartment, they've been in communication with law enforcement, the next possible suspect within this timeline would be that Uber driver. Now the Uber driver would be a female, and she would tell law enforcement she was alone that night. Not only was she alone that night, when she made her delivery, she saw nobody outside the apartment. Uber would also issue a statement that that order was completed without incident. And if his phone last pinged at 3:12 a.m. and that delivery was at 3:20 a.m., we could to a degree rule her out also. But that does leave a huge question. What causes a 21-year-old to leave their apartment in the middle of the night without their keys and wallet? Now, if you're thinking a love interest is a possible answer to that question, then we're starting to get on the same page. And if you know of one, leave that down in the comments below. But I would be curious if he was using any one of these dating apps, because saying a love interest did this would mean we have a connection that I'm not aware of. But what if this was a setup from the beginning? Is it impossible to suggest that Caleb was catfished through a possible dating app? And if he used dating apps, what if he just happened to get some sort of match from an individual who happened to be in town that night? And of all the nights to do some type of crime, was this not the perfect night to do something like this and leave very little video evidence? Because what was the one thing law enforcement said in terms of video evidence surrounding his disappearance?
Unfortunately, the night he disappeared, it was extremely foggy. And the video that we've collected already, we've already gone to over 50 businesses and different residents, private residences, and collected video. Of the 50 that we've been to, we've collected, I believe, 27 different sources of video. The problem with that is a lot of it is very difficult to see because it was so foggy that night.
Now, the atmosphere that particular night is absolutely something I can't get around. We know that law enforcement at this point is focusing on digital evidence, which does lead me to believe that there is a possibility that this was some type of catfishing scenario. Now, I find it highly doubtful that somebody would intentionally go out in the middle of the night, leaving their keys and wallet in their apartment, unless there was a meeting set up that was only supposed to be a quick meeting. Or maybe this was supposed to be an initial meeting where the potential suspect told him, hey, I'm near the area, can you come outside your apartment so I know where to park? The only other possibility would be that he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe somebody happened to see him out that night. Maybe somebody just happened to be driving by and decided to call him over and ask for help, and when he came close, they attacked him and put him in their vehicle. Now, a person who lives by habits and is a homebody is only going to break those habits for a few things. And to me personally, when you weigh the idea of an accidental abduction versus a planned abduction, I would side towards the latter. Now, if you see any of these things differently, you can let me know down in the comments below. Other than that, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here. Y'all be safe. I'll catch you in the next one.